we are featuring Bradley Corporation out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and manufacturing a great e-commerce experience. This is actually one of the best B2B applications that I have, B2B e-commerce applications that I've seen. And so we're really excited to kick this webinar off this morning. So with that, we're going to jump into a quick agenda, housekeeping. Then we're going to get into introductions. We're going to get into the Bradley story, and then we're going to follow up with Q&A and a lightning round. And before we get in, let's just jump into housekeeping right away. This webinar is being recorded, so we will be sending an email out after the webinar. If you do have to drop, if you want to share it with anyone in your company, please know that a recording is available. Also, we know that people may have questions throughout the webinar. We are going to hold questions till the end. There is a chat and a Q&A bubble at the bottom of your screen if you're using Zoom controls. So please go ahead, use those functions, and as we wrap up, we will do our best to answer questions. If for some reason we run out of time and we're not able to answer your questions, please do email me, follow up, email your account manager, and we're happy to set up some time to answer your questions. And with that, we are going to kick it off with introductions. And so Dave Liana and Dan Hare from Bradley Corporation have joined us, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. But Dave and Dan, welcome. We're so excited that you're with us today.
Thanks a lot. We're excited to be here and to be able to present our solution. We think it's a compelling story. So I'm Dave Liana. I run the IT group here at Bradley Corporation. And I've been here for coming up on 3.5, 4 years. And Znode was part of one of the first things I started on. Well, my group started on during that time. So good morning.
Awesome. Dan?
Hi, good morning. I'm Dan here. I'm a design automation integrations engineer for Bradley Corporation. I as well, Znode is one of my first projects. I'd work tightly intertwined with our web services teams.
Awesome. Well, welcome both of you. Thank you. And hello, everyone. My name is Tom Flirrell. I head up basically sales and marketing at Ecommerce, the parent company of Znode. And so I do that for both of our products, Artify and Znode, but have quite a bit of particular focus on Znode. And so I'll be hosting the webinar today. And with that, why don't we just start off, and Dave and Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about Bradley Corporation and how your business model works, what you do, and give us some context before we talk about e-commerce.
Sure. So Bradley's been around now 101 years, 5th generation family-owned business. So commercial washroom solutions are one of the main things we do. So if you've been a kid or been in grade school, you saw the big round wash fountains, or you go to the Fiserv forum, you'll see our kind of a newer style wash fountain there. That's one of them. One of the solutions. We have a lot of plumbing faucet type products, things like that. The grab bars and all of the stainless steel that you see in the restroom are also part of Bradley's thing. Another area is emergency, and that's eye washes, emergency showers, things like that. Water mixing valves. If it's got water running through it, then it's probably something we do.
Awesome. Great. And so how do you sell? How do you go to market?
Yeah. So that was a challenge for us. And when we went into the e-commerce arena. So we're really a business to business to business, or a business to business to consumer. So we have sales reps. We have some of our own our own salespeople, but we also have a network of independent sales reps that work throughout the country that sell and represent Bradley products to their customers. So a lot of them are really small, I'm going to say mom and pop shops, but some of them are larger. And then they use our e-commerce solution to service their own customers. So that's one channel that we have. Another channel is really in the construction industry. You have Division 10, which is doors and things like that, and Division 22, which is anything with water running through it. We sell a lot to distributors as well. So larger distributors like a Granger or Ferguson, Fastenal, and other regional distributors that represent and resell our products. So there, it's a completely different model, but what we tried to present is the same look and feel to all of those. So from our end users customer to the sales rep to our internal customer service people, the look and the feel of our e-commerce solution is the same. It's the data they're presented is different. So they only get their own data or their own customers' data. But beyond that, it's exactly the same package.
And the concept too is, if I understand this correctly, is also enable the customer and the customer's customer to get that data and have a great self-serve experience, or at least have transparency around what's going on with orders, what's going on with shipping, etc.
Exactly. So we've integrated Znode into all of our back-end systems, and that's been quite successful. The features our customers like the most, I mean, everybody, okay, I get my tracking numbers, things like that. But what they get are real-time inventory information, real-time, what location is it going to ship from, when is it going to ship, all those kinds of things.
Got it.
You know, if they want copies of invoices, copies of sales orders, all of that's now available.
And Dave, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead or you are. I was going to ask you, so why is Znode? And in this B2B business model you have, like, why is Znode? And if you want to jump in too, Dan, and we can talk about it there too, that would be great.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'll start, because I was part of the selection team.
Absolutely.
So my vision was, how do I have maximum flexibility while using standard software? And the headless e-commerce that Znode offered gave us all of those things. So when Dan walks through some of it, I'm going to interject with some of the ROI pieces for us that we didn't even know about when we started this journey. And when you see some of the screenshots, that's when I'll jump in and relay some of those. But for me, it was maximum flexibility. When we began the journey, we didn't have real-time inventory. We didn't have invoices. We didn't have sales order acknowledgements. And we were able to build and to flex the system as we needed. Dan, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think another big part of this is ease of updating the site. So that came with Znode. I mean, you know, we're able to update the site sometimes weekly or even bi-weekly. And that's definitely a big piece of it. If we have an issue, we can solve it and resolve it and get it fixed.
And Dan, I look at that. Some people call it like speed to market, but the ability to quickly make adjustments, and some of that is based upon being a headless platform. But when you say updating, I think a lot of times what you're talking about is tweaking the user experience so that again, you can iterate the user experience and perfect it and have better outcomes, which to Dave's point leads to better ROI.
Yes, correct.
Absolutely. Good.
We're releasing features every 2 weeks.
Wow.
So we're not updating the platform itself. We're updating all of the features that we release every 2 weeks.
Sure. And those features are largely, I'm guessing, dependent upon the data that you can pull and push through the platform.
Right. You know, when I said invoices, that was something we just added.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something customers wanted. You know, we got a little voice of customer, and they said, hey, you know, I really would like to get a copy of my invoice without having to call into customer service. We were able to do it and just pull it out of our ERP system and present it. And, you know, the customers are thrilled because they can do it themselves. And my customer service group is thrilled because they don't have to do it.
Absolutely. It adds a little bit of scale to the business, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Dan, do you want to take us through? We can show some screenshots and Dave and you can add color there and kind of walk us through. And I think the first screenshot we grabbed was what it's like for a sales rep to actually log in and what their experience is.
Yeah, so the idea behind the way we set up the system is we presenting the same page with just different data. So the users get the same experience. The customer doesn't have to deal with the rep in a different view and piecing this thing together. So this rep is signing in. They can see in this recent quotes area, they can see their different customers and what they're doing. So construction supply, best specialties, they can see what their currently quotes are, where they ordered. We're also tagging them with a status and a flag, and then as well as down in the recent order. So they can see construction supply, Carney and Company, best specialties, and see the data, see the order date. They can track and manage their customers.
Got it. So
Yeah,
enabling, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Dave.
So if their customer has a question, they can both look at exactly the same thing at the same time.
Great. And enabling salespeople with data in the digital world, which is also, I would say, probably refreshing, but somewhat new in manufacturing in many instances.
Yeah. What's really different about this system is we do quoting, and most e-commerce systems are, okay, put it in the cart and go order it. Well, that's not how the construction industry works. You have to be able to quote it, and then we're able to take the quotes and push them to orders. So, we have the whole quote system and, expirations and all of that pricing knowledge and expertise built around the quotes and the orders. And that makes it more of a business to business type system.
So your salespeople are able to manage quotes while when your distributors log in, they're requesting quotes, correct?
Yeah, they may be requesting quotes, or they're quoting a job and they can produce the quote along with all the technical specifications with a single click. Where it used to take them hours, they can literally do it in 5 minutes.
Wow.
And that was the key, is how do we make their job easier?
Big implications when there's a labor shortage, right?
Exactly. Well, that's what we were getting told by our customers. They're more about how can I quickly get in, get it done, and produce all the paperwork I need in 5 minutes. Because for them, it's, I need to respond to this customer quickly. When it comes to the restroom, most people wait until the last minute, and in construction jobs. And
Yeah,
they might be some things they need to do right away. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, we're really helping them, by designing the workflow. For what Dave's mentioned here is on the right-hand side, we see the actions bar. There's some little icons there. For instance, they can click on the eye and they can see all those documents at the click of a button. They can click on the little copy icon and they could copy a quote. They could duplicate a quote. We're providing that workflow for them to get that speed and efficiency.
Right.
Awesome. So and as you can see here, we're on even though the screen looks the same as the previous screen was what sales reps get to see. This is what distributors then get to see, which is different data.
Yep. So the distributor logs in, they're now seeing their distinct quotes and orders, nothing else. Versus the rep is kind of that parent level to it. And then we also have another parent to that, which is our next slide of our master user.
Do you want me to go to that, Dan?
Yeah. So then at our master user level, that would be kind of our I would consider those our sysadmin levels at in our web stores. Those are our internal Bradley people that can manage many different reps, many different distributors. Any calls that come in, any emails that come in, they can see that data, get at that data, and even assist along those quotes if there's any items that they're missing or things that they need help with.
Yeah, they can go and update it.
Got it. And then I guess last question, I don't think we have a screenshot for it, but actually the end customer can also log in and get delivery times, etc. They can see when the products are going to arrive, and they realize they're buying them through a distributor of Bradley. So that's completely transparent in the entire process, correct?
Correct. That's true for the sales reps as well.
Okay,
Their customers can also get on and see whatever the sales reps are seeing.
that's great. That's great. So tell us, I know there's probably an ROI story here, but tell us
Yeah.
some of the outcomes of this, and then also what it was like before this. Like what was
Yeah.
life like before you had Znode?
So I'm going to tell you an ROI story that we never anticipated. And that's why I was so focused on headless, because I knew we couldn't anticipate what was going to happen. So, this all looks great, but there's the shipping side of this, the logistics that you don't see. So we had customers that, they want to pick when they get it there. So when a construction site has set times that they have workers on site and they need the product at that time, they don't want it way ahead because then it just gets lost and damaged. So what our logistics side does is the customer picks when they want it to arrive at the site. And we have a link with a third-party logistics company that takes care of, okay, what are your different, let's say it's LTL. What are your different LTL rates? When is it going to get there? How much does it cost? We're transparent with all of that, including, if it's parcel, you pick how fast you want to get it. So if you have a restroom that's broken, you can get that part on an expedited basis with, overnight shipping, second day, whatever you want for that. So that's a customer service thing for us, telling them when they're going to get it. The other side of that is and I'm telling you, massive savings on logistics costs. So when you're shipping a trucking line, you need to marry low cost carrier versus high service carrier. And the differentials are quite large. So I was talking to my logistics guy this morning, and he said the cost between those can be about 50% differential between the low cost carrier and the high service carrier. Now what we've done is the system automatically picks the most optimum carrier, which is a bridge between cost and service levels, depending upon area of the country. So it cut, logistics exploded in terms of cost over this last year. It cut it brought us into the low cost carrier band of cost with the high quality with a very small differential. Wow. The second part of it is in here, we have customers have to tell us, okay, it's a construction site. I don't have a dock. I need a lift gate. All of those accessorial charges, we cut our accessorial charges by 60%. So for us, in something that we never anticipated, paid multiple times for all of Znode and all of our development.
Wow.
For an item we never even knew we needed.
And when you're shipping, you're not doing onesie, twosie things. You're shipping pallets. You're shipping large quantities of products, correct?
It could be anything from one pallet to a truckload, and from one tiny box to several boxes. So it's the full range of shipping, all the way parcel to full truckloads.
Makes sense. We do have a question in the Q&A bubble, and as long as we're on this topic, sure. The question is, what was Znode's role in the shipping enhancements? And we all know Znode is not a shipping software. Do you want to just talk about the ability to exchange data?
Yeah, Dan, do you want to cover some of that?
Yeah, so we have a shipping service that we run with an outside vendor, and we integrated Znode with that. That wasn't something that the Znode team had provided, but that was something that we had to customize. But the ease of the headless and the code that was provided allowed for that integration to be built out. and to be
Mhm.
customized and really narrowed down to create better efficiencies for our shipping platforms and passing data back and forth, sending data to the shipper, making sure that they have the correct mapping, getting the data back from the shipper, and then reanalyzing that and displaying that appropriately on the Znode application.
Yeah, so
It's a-
when they do an order or a quote, we honor the shipping costs at the quote, which is unusual because all of our customers want landed costs.
Mhm.
And so we go from Znode to our ERP to our third-party logistics and back in a matter of a few seconds. And it was implemented relatively quickly. I think the Znode side was very fast.
Yeah. I mean, we just had a quote, within the last 2 or 3 weeks where we had like 1,000 pallet quote,
Yeah.
and it took, as long as Dave said, to send the data and get the data back and present it.
So the headless aspect is being able to display the data and the flexibility, but it's really the API layer and an
Absolutely.
API first platform, because in B2B, exchanging data with third-party systems is the key to everything. Your ERP, your shipping, everything matters, and you need a fast API calls to make it work.
Right. And then we don't worry because it's an API call.
Mhm.
It's we just determine where we're going to do each piece and then stitch it together. When I looked at the logistics charts this morning, and you could see the day we started it, it was that dramatic, that fast.
Wow. Just because we're gonna run out of time,
Yeah.
and we'll end it maybe in 5 minutes with a total of 30 minutes for the webinar, but any other big ROI stories or wins? And then maybe we can talk about what life was like before this.
Yeah. Well, I think scaling our customer service. So we've scaled our order volume without having to add the customer service. And that I think is another ROI.
Yeah, I think
piece to it.
I agree, Dave. I think, presenting the data cut down our call log volume
Oh.
drastically.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not only the call volume. So we're doing more volume with the same number of people.
Wow. Wow.
And
Which scales your margins too, right?
and a significant percentage,
Wow.
not small. So you say you asked prior to Znode. So prior to Znode, we had a B2B system that had to be highly customized. To make any changes to it, it was months of work to try to figure out where under the covers you can, get into it and make it. We would have never been able to do half of the things we've been able to do with this. This user interface, this is probably third or fourth generation, Dan.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and we're working on a fifth generation already. So we've had Znode up for a little over a year and a half, and we're on our fifth generation. Just from our observations of how people are using it and the feedback we get from our customers, and we don't worry about it. We just, okay, we know we can change it and make these tweaks here and there, and it's not like oh, I got to start over. So before, if we had to change a screen or if we had to add another interface, it was a very painful and super expensive experience.
Wow. That's great. We led off the webinar and I said, I think this is the coolest B2B application for manufacturers. And the way you speak about it, I think it's true.
Yeah,
So,
you're not seeing the really well, and we didn't have time to see some of the really, really cool stuff in the background with the orders and the order information, and they get everything. We just provide everything to them.
Mm-hmm.
100% self-service and lots of scale.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to ask you one last question. We're going to do a lightning round. It's spring, but we're going to skip the lightning round. I think we're going to run out of time. But one last question. What's next? What's coming? You have a lot of flexibility. You have a lot of data you can pull and push. What's next?
Yeah. So the next thing we are, again, we're on our fifth generation. of it. We are looking at different ways of discounting and packaging our products together. And that, it's like, okay, we want to repackage how we do some of these different items. So when you sell, a restroom with doors and walls and urinal screens and all that other stuff, they want to buy it in a bundle. And we're working at how do we bundle that more efficiently and effectively for the customer. So
Sure.
there's actually, our backlog is still pretty long. I'm Dan. It's probably not. He's probably thrilled and not thrilled at the same time. But the nice thing is, I don't worry about, do we think it can do it? I just go to these guys. Okay, here's what we need to do, and they go, okay, well, we can do that. There's not a, oh, I don't get that reply.
Sure. Wow, that's great. Well, Dave, Dan, we're at 29 minutes, so I think we're going to wrap it up, but great story. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing everything. It sounds like Bradley is just having great success. So thank you for sharing that. We did get the Q&A bubble. We did answer the questions around shipping software and shipping integration. Again, from a housekeeping standpoint, if anybody has any more questions, please do reach out to me, reach out to your account manager. This is going to be shared, this recording, via email following this, and it can be found on Znode.com. But again, let's just wrap up and thank Dave and Dan for such a great presentation and sharing this with us today. So thank you both.
Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.